The evening air outside Kingswell Enterprises carried a faint chill, the kind that settled deep into the glass walls of skyscrapers and made the city feel alive with its restless hum. Cars streamed across the streets below, their headlights painting ribbons of gold and white across the asphalt. On the top floor of the building, in a corner office that seemed suspended in the sky, Adrian Cross stood with his back to the world. His reflection in the window showed the face of a man everyone admired and feared, a man who had built an empire before he turned 35. His tailored suit was perfect, his tie a precise knot, his posture strong. Yet behind his polished image, there was a man gnawed by something he could not quite name. Adrian was used to winning. Deals, negotiations, partnerships. Everything in his life came with signatures and handshakes. People bent to his will because he had money, power, and influence. If he wanted something, he got it. If someone stood in his way, they rarely lasted long. But for the first time in years, he was staring at something he couldn't control. Emily Rivera. Emily had joined Kingswell 3 years ago. She wasn't a high-ranking executive or a socialite climbing her way up through charm. She was a finance analyst, quiet and diligent, her cubicle tucked in a corner where most people forgot she sat. She wore simple clothes, never designer brands, and brought her lunch from home while others paraded with takeout bags from the most expensive restaurants. Yet when she spoke in meetings, her insight was sharp, her honesty disarming. She didn't flatter, didn't play games, and perhaps that was what first caught Adrian's attention. She was immune to his world. He remembered the first time he had tried to impress her. It was at a company event, a gala with chandeliers glittering overhead. He had sent a dress to her apartment, tailored and elegant, with a note inviting her to be his guest of honor. She had returned the package the very next morning with a polite note. "Thank you, but I don't accept gifts I cannot repay." No one had ever done that to him. Women usually fought for his attention, yet Emily dismissed it as if it meant nothing. That rejection only pulled him closer. Over the months, Adrian tried in smaller ways. Coffee deliveries left on her desk, casual conversations by the elevator, offers to drive her home when it rained. Each time she smiled kindly but kept her distance. She didn't push him away cruelly, she simply held a boundary that was unshakable. And for a man like Adrian, boundaries were intolerable. Tonight, he had reached his limit. His patience already strained, snapped into determination. He wasn't going to let Emily slip away again. When she knocked lightly on his office door, carrying a folder of quarterly reports, Adrian felt a surge of adrenaline. She walked in with her usual composure, her dark hair tied neatly, her eyes calm. She placed the folder on his desk and waited. "You wanted to see me, Mr. Cross?" she asked. Her tone was respectful, but distant. Adrian hated that distance. He wanted her to look at him not as a boss, but as a man. "Yes," he said, turning fully toward her. "But not about work." Emily hesitated, already sensing the storm beneath his words. "Then perhaps this isn't the right time. I still have." "No," Adrian interrupted firmly. "It has to be now." He stepped closer, his voice tightening with urgency. "I've been clear with you about what I feel, Emily. I don't play games. I don't have time for hesitation. I want you, and I want you to be mine. Marry me, or I'll find someone else." The words echoed in the glass-walled office, sharp as a knife. Emily's lips parted in shock. She had expected another attempt, perhaps another grand gesture, but not an ultimatum. Her pulse quickened, not out of excitement but out of disbelief. "That's quite a choice you're giving me," she said softly. Adrian's jaw tightened. "It's not a choice, it's a chance. A chance at a life you can't even imagine. Comfort, security, luxury, everything you've never had." Emily studied him, her eyes steady. "And what makes you think that's what I want?" "Because everyone wants it." Adrian snapped, frustration breaking through his polished exterior. "Everyone wants the world, Emily, and I can give it to you." Her expression didn't change. Her calmness unnerved him more than anger ever could. "Marriage isn't a business deal, Mr. Cross. It isn't about assets and acquisitions. It's about love, and love doesn't come with ultimatums." For a moment, silence pressed between them. Adrian opened his mouth to argue, but before he could, a quiet cough came from the door. Both turned sharply to see Thomas, the janitor, standing with a mop in his hand. His uniform was worn, his shoes old, his face lined with years of exhaustion. He looked as though he'd been in the middle of cleaning the hallway when he accidentally stumbled into something he shouldn't have. Adrian's eyes narrowed with irritation. "This is a private discussion. Leave." But Thomas didn't leave. He stood there, gripping the mop handle, and spoke in a low, steady voice. "If she doesn't want to marry you, sir, then maybe you should let her decide who she does want. Love doesn't work the way business does. Sometimes it comes from the places you least expect." Adrian's pride bristled. "And what would you know about love, janitor?" He spat, the word dripping with disdain. Thomas's eyes didn't flinch. Enough to know it isn't something you can buy. My wife and I started with nothing. No money, no security. Just trust. Just faith in each other. That's worth more than all the diamonds in the world. Emily's breath caught as she listened. She had never heard anyone in this cold, corporate building speak with such raw truth. Adrian tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. You think she'd ever choose someone like you? You clean floors. I own the building. Thomas didn't back down. His gaze shifted to Emily, his voice soft but resolute. Maybe. But at least if she chose me, she'd know she was chosen for who she is, not because I wanted to win. The words struck the room like lightning. Emily stared at him, stunned by his courage. There was more dignity in that single sentence than in all of Adrian's extravagant offers. Adrian turned back to Emily, desperation breaking through. You can't be serious. Emily, look at me. Look at what I'm offering. You can't throw that away for him. Emily inhaled deeply, her decision weighing heavy on her chest. I don't know where my future lies, Adrian, she said quietly, but I do know this. I will never marry a man who sees me as a prize to be won. I'd rather walk away with nothing than live a life where love is treated like a contract. Adrian's face fell, his pride cracking under the weight of rejection. For the first time in years he felt powerless. Emily turned to Thomas, her voice gentle. Thank you for reminding me what love is meant to be. Thomas nodded, humility in his eyes. Sometimes, it just takes courage to choose yourself. That night, the balance of their lives shifted. Adrian remained in his office long after the lights dimmed, staring at the city he had conquered, realizing he had built an empire but lost the one thing he truly wanted. Emily left the building with her heart strangely lighter, her steps freer. And Thomas, the janitor who had spoken truth to power, returned to his mop, knowing he had done something small but extraordinary.